Hello YouTube, Millennium X17 here. We're going to do a update video that I said I was going to do on the WWE Network. And since I'm here anyways, I might as well give you my thoughts on WrestleMania 30 and the Raw thereafter. Definitely a lot going on. So first and foremost, what I want to say is I don't have a Google Plus account, so there is in no way, shape, or form any way for me to comment down below. So if you feel like pointing out how wrestling is fake, fixed, rigged, whatever makes you feel better and make yourself look foolish, go right ahead. I'm not going to stop you. I don't want, there's no way I'm going to have a Google Plus account, so I'll never be able to, comment down below. So that's pretty much been known for years now, so it's not like a shocking revelation. I'm not telling anybody anything that nobody doesn't already know. Which leads a very bizarre thing in your mouth, because knowing that it is fixed, that this is a creative entertainment property, it leaves a lot of what they do in a confusing light. Because some of the stuff they do just doesn't make any sense. Some of the stuff they do is just not entertaining, period. And some of it is quite shocking, as this week has shown to be one hell of a roller coaster of events. So, I've talked about how the WWE Network is like, you ask the WWE, they tell you this is the greatest thing that's ever happened. The best thing ever. This will revolutionize TV, and it probably will, which is a good thing. But there's a lot of finite details that a lot of people weren't too sure of, and that is, to be perfectly honest, was it going to work during WrestleMania, which apparently there was a hiccup during the pre-show. I didn't watch it live because I work on the weekends during the nighttime, so I couldn't watch it live, which was what brought me a concern to me, is that they never said, the Royal Rumble 2014 and Elimination Chamber 2014 were not, immediately available to be streamed on the network, which brought up a lot of concerns. They kind of mitigated those, saying that it'll be okay, but they didn't say explicitly that you'll be able to watch it, instant streaming immediately thereafter. So as soon as I got home Monday morning, the night after, first off Sunday, and that Monday, I off social media altogether. I was not spoiled for WrestleMania, which is a good thing. We'll get to there. But I showed up Monday morning, first thing, and there it was, WrestleMania 30, ready to be instant stream. So it is as it is advertised. So that is a good thing moving forward. If you can't catch the live stream of the pay-per-view, you'll be able to watch it immediately after its conclusion via instant streaming, which is a good thing, which is the way it should be. So I'll be able to watch it on a timely manner. Therefore, unless the WWE does something really foolish, I might even keep going with the network. Obviously, I'm with the 6-month commitment until I think just before SummerSlam is when it's going to run out. I'm guessing they did that on purpose, by the way. So yeah, it'll work. I'm pretty happy with it now. A couple of things though is that for whatever weird, when it first launched, it was a total mess. It has gotten infinitesimally better, and it keeps getting better. So they're definitely working on it. It's definitely an evolving process. Netflix wasn't the greatest thing ever when it first launched either. The thing that really gets me at this point in time is that it's like, after watching something for anywhere from 30 to 50 minutes, all of a sudden the image will just get blurry, as if your internet drops out. And it happens every single time, whether your internet's good or not, at least by my observation. A little bizarre, definitely something they need to improve on moving forward, but by and large, it's pretty damn good. Some of the shows that are on it are pretty damn cool. I like Countdown a lot. That is, I watch that here and there. NXT is by far the the best show they put out, which is surprising that, it's just the newer talent is doing better than what some of the creative stuff that they're doing with, their main show, which is, bizarre to say the least. Legends House is debuting next week. I think that I don't have an exact date, but it's sometime next week. I think it's Thursday-ish next week. But it's reality TV, and I don't give two shits about reality TV, so it's not going to mean anything to me. And the weird thing is that there's been absolutely no word on the Monday Night Wars in any way, shape, or form. Kind of bizarre. I'll check it out, but I'd be willing to bet that there's a lot of, I don't want to say propaganda, but it'll be, the story they tell will probably be one-sided. Since they're the only ones left, which sucks. But, what are you going to do? So yeah, the network, if you're on the fence, I say go for it. because it actually looks like it's going to be a good thing moving forward, it just strengthens my theory that even the WWE themselves now recognize that a pay-per-view is not worth $50, $60. You know, it's not worth that much. They don't, for whatever bizarre reason to me, don't feel like putting that much effort into, you know, making a $60 show, which is bizarre to me, which they have the talent to do so. They just choose not to. They admit fully that it's about $10 to $15 worth of pay-per-view is all that they're really worth. So, this way, hopefully, moving forward, in their mind, no one will complain as much. Neither here nor there. The network, like I said, if you're on the fence, go for it. It's definitely not a bad deal. It's definitely a good deal for your money, especially if you're okay on the product and you're interested in seeing a lot of the backlog. It's a good thing. So, and moving forward, I only expect it to get better. So, hey, you know, not too bad. So, my thoughts on WrestleMania 30. That's a roller coaster ride, to be sure of. I didn't see the pre-match. Like, when you fire up the network, there's like 3 or 4 different variations of the same show. I think it's because they had like 2 different pre-shows. I didn't watch any of the pre-shows or any of the pre-panels or any of that other nonsense. The Usos won in the Fatal 4-Way Tag Match, which doesn't even make any sense as to why everybody got a title shot in the first place. Though they planted the seeds for Cesaro to break up with the Real Americans, which that's a good thing. He's getting over with the crowd pretty good. I'm not too disappointed in that. Like I said, the Usos retain the belts. The show starts off with Hogan coming out and calling it the Silverdome, which I don't think anyone's going to let him forget that for years. He was then later joined by Austin and Rock, who kept ribbing him over the Silverdome comment, which was just hilarious. I thought it was hilarious anyways. This was surprising to me, because in advance they never usually explicitly say the order of the matches in advance, but Bryan Triple H match was first out. Triple H was actually curtain jerking. I didn't think he had it in him, you know. But hey, what do you know? Not only does he do that, but he then takes the clean pin for Daniel Bryan to win, which I'm not surprised about that one bit. My theory leading in was that it was going to be some sort of a screw job ending where Hogan would come out and be like, "Oh, we can't deal with this, brother. We have to settle this in a ring," and then the main event becomes a fatal 4-way, which is what I was expecting. The fact that he took a clean pin was like, wow, really? That was actually surprising to me. It was a pleasant change of pace. Because, I knew, especially since I'm like, wow, they're starting with this match. If Daniel Bryan had lost, half the arena might have just gotten up and left. You know, so they couldn't not have Bryan in the main event. There's no way they were getting away with that at all. And I knew that moving in. Like, there's no way you can't have him in the main event in some capacity whatsoever. Just most of the crowd would probably have just left. You know, and then, you know, the show would have gone downhill from there. But, you know, I'm surprised about that. I'm happy to see it, though. So, Bryan went over Triple H clean. Definitely impressive. The Rock apparently went over in his promo, which isn't too surprising, which then apparently cut down the Shields match with Kane and the New Age Outlaws. They came, like, the New Age Outlaws came out and they got cut off by the Shields music, and then Kane immediately all rushed to the ring. The bell rings and it's like literally bodies everywhere, and in like less than 3-4 minutes in the ring, and the New Age Outlaws took this nasty triple powerbomb from the Shield, and it's like apparently Billy Gunn got hurt from that one, which is like, that has to hurt. That really, like, that landing on that. If you think wrestling's fake, that's all well and good for you. Being thrown up in the air like that and thrown down on a hard, you know, even though the ring has some flex to it, that still's got to hurt like hell. So he apparently got hurt from that. So it's like, wow, okay. You know, it was pretty much a squash match, which is kind of astonishing to me. But it was what it needed to be. So a lot of people were theorizing that it should be that, and it turned out by accident to be that, which is a good thing in the long run. After that, of note, Cesaro wins the Battle Royale. Right? In retrospect, myself, if you had asked me in advance, I would have told you that it would have been Alexander Rusev would have come in and won it. Because they didn't explain whether this was a Battle Royal where everybody starts in the ring or if this is like a Royal Rumble style, which is what I think it should have been anyways. But neither here nor there. in retrospect, with Cesaro, what he took and Power Slammed the Big Show in exact like mirror image to what Hogan did back in WrestleMania 3, I think it was. So in retrospect, it actually does make sense what they did there. And then again, it's a good thing that they're pushing Cesaro. Definitely a good thing with the crowd. The next two matches are the ones that will definitely, like I said, there's a roller coaster, and these next two are definitely a big dip in the show, according to a lot of people. This next one definitely is a negative with me. John Cena wins over Bray Wyatt. Really? Seriously? I can't even explain it. It makes no sense. At best, the crowd reaction to Cena is 50-50. People fucking hate him. A lot of people are really harsh on his in-ring ability. I don't think it's that bad. I'm not going to stand here and say it's good, and I'm sure shit not going to defend him in any way, shape, or form. But the reason why people hate him is because he never loses to anybody. There's only like 3 or 4 instances where I can think of off the top of my head where I know he loses. Like, he does every once in a great while, and that's when a lot of people celebrate those. It was Money in the Bank 2011 to CM Punk. It was when Edge first cashed in the first Money in the Bank contract. Was that 2006? It was in what is now the Time Warner Center in Albany, New York. I forget the name of the New Year's Revolution. That's what it was. There's a couple others that he lost, and I'm like, it's so rare that people celebrate it when it happens. Why do you give him the best heel that the company has seen in years? Bray Wyatt cuts one of the best promos. It's brilliant what he does. And the fact that they just sort of feed him the hot thing of the moment, and then they just toss it aside. It's looking after the fact now, it looks like they're going to move forward with that feud. It's like, seems like we weren't sure if we're going to see what the hell was he first of all, the Unlimited Rage or whatever the hell it was when Cena first debuted. It's like a certain rage that he first had when he first showed up in WWE. It was so stupid, even back then. I can't even remember what it exactly was called. It's like he was starting to come back with that. Bray throws him a chair and he's just like, oh, I don't know if I will or not. It's just so stupid. Halfway through the match, when the Wyatts kept getting up on the ring apron, I knew it's not going to happen. It's just so disappointing that, that was definitely the low point of the event for me. The low point of the event for everybody else, the one that certainly left me fucking stunned, was the next match. Brock Lesnar beats The Undertaker? Really? The fuck? Seriously? And of course, the internet immediately blew up. Everyone's super fucking negative about this. Myself, I was surprised. I was stunned as shit when I was watching it. I'm not really so much upset about it. I'm just baffled. Like, remember, it's fixed. They made this creative decision in advance. For what reason, though? Brock Lesnar is a part-timer. I don't hate Brock Lesnar. He's all right, in my opinion, but he's not the greatest thing. It's so bizarre that you would choose him to beat the streak. And yes, I know there's people out there that look at his UFC background and all the other, outside of professional wrestling, and those are his achievements outside of professional wrestling are nothing to sneeze at. They're definitely legit. And, you take it from that aspect, you can't understand it takes that kind of a guy to beat the streak. It still doesn't make any real sense, though. It's like, does he really need that sort of a push? I don't think so. But I can tell you this much. It sure as hell left everybody shocked. I couldn't believe when I was watching it, and he hits the third F5, and I'm like, I'm half not even paying attention to it anymore. I'm kind of like, I had a DiGiorno at the time, a pepperoni DiGiorno, and I'm eating it, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, really, third? And it's like, you're going to bury that finisher. I mean, like, most finishers nowadays are buried anyways, but it's like, now no one's going to feel that's credible in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not even, like, half paying attention. All of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, and ding, 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 and I'm like, what? What? And then, of course, everyone you heard of a pin drop in that arena. Everyone just sort of stood up, and it was like, and you saw that a lot of the pictures of the people in the Superdome, not the Silverdome, Superdome, everyone's just like, like there was no three ding ding ding, and then there's no music. Paul Heyman like slides in the ring. I watched this match again on the network, and on a second rewatch, it's not as bad as most people probably remember, given, you know, the retrospect of how you know how the match ends. But it's definitely a slow match. It wasn't that good. At the end, like people were thinking, oh, Undertaker kicked out on like 3.5, so they're thinking maybe it was a botch of some sort. No, I watched it again. He never kicked out that, you know, after the third F5. Heyman slides in the ring. Oh my god, he sells everything with his just facial expression and his the way he's so good with words. It's just like, oh my god, everyone's stunned, and it's like this moment where the bell rings. There's no music, and even Justin Roberts, the ring announcer, doesn't even immediately announce. It's like a full minute. Everyone's just in stunned silence. I don't know. Definitely a shocking moment. They need to do that more often. Should it have been Lesnar to beat the streak? I don't think so. You know, my theory back in January when Bryan didn't enter the Royal Rumble match was that I thought that he should have. And the backstage, you know, talk was that Undertaker wanted to face Bryan, and that would have been amazing. You stop and think, like, title match or beating the streak? What do you think would have been better? In the long run, I think beating the streak would have been better. And my theory I had this weird thought back in my head back in January is that, and it really has, this series completely out of left field, and I don't even think it has anything to do with WWE's creative, but there is an achievement in WWE 2K14, the video game, to beat the streak at WrestleMania 30. So I'm thinking, if it's going to happen, it will probably be this year. Then, you know, Punk left and a couple other things got mixed around and sloshed around, and then there was talk about Taker wants to face Bryan, and then Taker might face Cena, and then Taker, Brock Lesnar, and I'm thinking out of all three, the Brock Lesnar match was the one that I didn't want to see. I was just so indifferent. And that's the thing, moving into this match, the crowd wasn't invested in any of the near falls whatsoever because everybody knew, you ask anybody, they would have bet their car, their house, everything they had that Taker's winning. Yeah, you know, it's just a foregone conclusion at this point in time, which is why everyone was so shocked. But it's like, you're sitting there in advance back in January, I'm thinking it would make sense for Bryan to go on because it's the only thing left, because it wouldn't make any sense to shoehorn him into the title picture at this point in time, even though CM Punk leaving definitely helped alleviate an angle to that, which is, I don't think in the long run is a good thing, but it turned out all right for now. But all the same, it being Lesnar is the one that does it. It came out like nobody was invested in the match whatsoever. Just so out of left field that nobody saw coming, nobody believed it. Apparently, after the match, Taker actually had a concussion from the match, which is not surprising. Lesnar is, given his MMA, you know, background, even though he went to MMA after his first run in pro wrestling, he works stiff. And that's not surprising, so definitely hope Taker's okay. That definitely looked like a rough match. It was the match itself on a rewatch is definitely better than what a lot of people probably remember, but definitely not what I would expect for the kind of match that you would expect Taker to lose to, especially after the Shawn Michaels matches, after the CM Punk match last year. A little bizarre, but, you know, neither here nor there. Moving on from that, AJ wins the Divas Battle Royal Spectacular Clusterfuck. I don't even know if they knew what it was. But, you know, it was like, the way they build the match in advance, it was, oh, how could she possibly, you know, win? It was just like Big Show in the Battle Royal. It's like, oh, how could he possibly lose? It's like, it's kind of obvious to figure out how, you know, the fact that I knew he wasn't going to win. But it's like, same thing, AJ Lee, oh, how could she possibly retain the belt? It's impossible. She'll definitely lose it. It's like, you know, really, I saw that one coming. And then the final match of the night, the main event, Bryan, Orton, Batista, triple threat for the title. Please, for the love of God, I hope they split those titles back open again, because that just, it destroys the top end of the company. It's only this very small select guys that get it, you know. But neither here nor there. They go all in on Bryan. He wins the titles. At the end of the day, like yes, on the announce table, fireworks going off is fucking incredible. I can't believe they actually do the right thing. Left me stupid. I was leaving it, I was expecting some sort of a swerve where Batista got the belt anyways. And speaking of Batista, it's actually his first match where he doesn't look like total shit. So, he still has it. He's getting better. He just, you gotta get that cardio up. It's important. Not just for the zombie apocalypse. Apparently for pro wrestling it is as well. So, yeah, they even do, they do the screw job thing where they throw in a different referee and it's like Bryan has to, Triple H takes out the first referee, interferes, takes out the first referee, throws in a crooked ref, and then, Bryan takes him out, and then they do this nasty spot on a table where, like, Batista does, like, a jackknife powerbomb, and Orton catches him into, I guess you would call it, like, a neckbreaker RKO kind of thing, and he goes through the table, and then Bryan's laid out, and he doesn't move, and he gets taken away by the medical team. It's actually people in white suits. If it's the doctors from WWE, the black ones, that's when you know it's storyline, but it's like, no, it's actual, like, EMTs were there with the white shirts, and it's like, they put him on a stretcher and take him away, and the whole time, when they cleared off all the tables, Randy grabbed one of the monitors from the Spanish announce table and threw it behind it. And when he went through the table, he just landed square on the monitor and, fucked his back up. It looked nasty. I'm like, oh, God, I think the medical staff should have been looking at him instead because his back started bleeding like hell. That looked nasty. But, at the end, Bryan gets off the stretcher, back and forth, finisher after finisher, kick out. Everyone's on the tip of their seat. It's after the stretcher spot, then I'm thinking they actually are going with Bryan. I'm actually genuinely surprised, and I'm actually good. I'm happy for it too, because after getting jerked around for the last 8-something months, it's actually a good relief to see that they're actually listening to the fans. And it's only for all those who are like, oh no, they're geniuses. They've been planning this for months. No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Triple H is just like Vince McMahon. He likes himself those big, huge, muscle, bulked up, bodybuilder types. He does not want Bryan to be on top. I give you my word, there's no way. You'll convince me otherwise. Which is why I'm actually genuinely surprised that they actually went this route and actually went all in. But that's the end of WrestleMania. Definitely a good show. $15 pay-per-view, I would say definitely. A lot of people are pissed to hell and gone that Taker lost to Lesnar. All I'll say about that before I move on to Raw, very quickly, this video is probably going super long by this point. All I'll finish with is that take a minute, step back, and think about it. Would you rather have had Cena beat the streak? Moving on to Monday Night Raw the next night, very briefly, overall Monday Night Raw was really not that good of a show. For a Raw after Mania, last year's at the Izod Center was fucking amazing. It's hilarious how the crowd was chanting. It was great. This one, the crowd chanted, but now nowhere near as good as the Izod last year. But big things of note, AJ comes out, starts gloating about her win, and then Paige comes out. From Paige is the NXT Women's Champion, and then AJ all cocky like, oh, we're gonna have a match right now, and I'll even put my title on the line. And it was, Paige definitely needs more work on the microphone. There's no certain, because she was all like, I'm not ready. I don't want to do this. She needed more teeth. In NXT, she has a whole lot more presence and a lot more, aggression to, maybe not aggression is maybe not the right word, but she definitely works the mic better, makes herself sound stronger on the microphone in NXT, but here it's like, oh, but I'm not ready, and even though she's in her full ring attire and all that, but I'm not ready, I'm not prepared for it, and it's just, I don't want to do that, whatever. It was a super quick match, back and forth real quick. AJ tries to put on the Black Widow, and then Paige reverses, immediately goes into what is supposed to be a Paige turner, her finisher. Unfortunately, I haven't seen the Paige turner enough to know exactly how it's supposed to go 100% of the time, but it's like she rotates and then AJ flips herself over backwards and lands on her head. It looked really awkward and weird, especially when you're going with this moment for her to win the title. But either which way, 1, 2, 3, Paige is the new NXT, oh, not NXT, she is the NXT Women's Champion, the new Divas Champion, which is awesome, which is great, because just stop and think about it a second. How would you feel if somebody from Total Divas won that belt? Yeah, so, to myself, that's just, I don't like reality TV. It's not reality. It's a load of bullshit is what it is. But neither here nor there. I liked it. Definitely. The weird thing, though, was that NXT this week, after this whole string of events, Paige wasn't on NXT, which is a little bizarre. You would think she would come out with both belts. You would think that that's what they would do. I saw SmackDown as well. She wasn't on. They mentioned it on SmackDown, but that's all. So we'll have to wait to see if she's on Raw again next week, or if she's on NXT next week. You know, if it were me, I'd have her on NXT that week with both belts. You know, maybe even have AJ show up and be like, I want my rematch. But, you know, that feud moving forward, though, definitely first time in like a very long time. A lot of people are definitely interested in looking forward to the Divas matches, because those two, Paige can wrestle, AJ can wrestle. Next to, I think, maybe Natalya, and maybe everyone else can do a spot here and there, but no one else can really wrestle. So, that moving forward looks like it's going to be pretty damn awesome. Alexander Rusev came out and squashed Zack Ryder. I don't know why. Did it really do anything for Rusev? No. First time Ryder's had a TV appearance in 100 years, but... and then the ending of the Monday Night Raw was Shield and Bryan was supposed to face Triple H for the titles, because how dare a little goat-faced troll, you know, get the titles and what have you. And Kane came, you know, I think Batista and Orton came out and RKO'd him, and Batista bombed him, and then Kane came out and was like, oh no, you two need to stop, and then he chokeslams Bryant. And then Triple H comes out and comes to the referee and is like, you're starting this match or you're losing your job. And then the ref's like, and then rings a bell, and then the Shield comes out and gets on one side of the ring, and then the New Age Outlaws and Kane are on the other side of the ring, and then Roman Reigns spears Triple H. Chaos ensues. The Shield throws them all out, and then Bryant knees Triple H after he gets up from the spears. So it's like, that's the way the Raw ended. Phenomenal. You know, it was like, okay, the ending of the Raw was definitely good. The rest of it, not really so much. But neither here nor there. The product as it stands right now, it looks like they're going in a direction that's definitely a good thing. Definitely positive on it. The WWE Network I think it's actually a really good value, especially if you like the way the current product looks, which after WrestleMania looks like it's going in a new direction. And the only thing left that I have to finish with is also on Monday Night Raw, the Ultimate Warrior came out about halfway through the program and cut this really awesome kick-ass promo. And he put on a warrior mask, and he did a promo as the Warrior, and he talked about how, you know, the legends are immortalized through the memories of the fans and the stories that they tell, and that one day, you know, everyone's heart will beat its last beat, and someday everyone's lungs will take their last breath, and, you know, the what have you. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch it, especially in retrospect. That promo is freaky as shit, because given that promo, I'd be willing to bet that he knew something was wrong with him. Because for all those who still haven't heard yet, the Ultimate Warrior then passed away the very next day, less than 24 hours after cutting that promo on Raw. Holy shit. But when I read that like Wednesday morning at like 1 a.m. I caught it on Twitter, and I'm like, really? Like, that blew me away more than Taker did. Because that's not scripted. I don't think anybody knew that was coming whatsoever. Totally, you want to talk about out of left field, cut everyone's legs down. And then when you go back and really watch that promo again, there's no way you can't tell me that he didn't know something was wrong. Blew me. He just gets inducted into the Hall of Fame a week ago today. Was on WrestleMania. They brought him out real quick along with all the other Hall of Fame inductees. Comes out on Monday Night Raw and cuts that promo, and then the very next night he passes away. Apparently he collapsed on his way to his car in an Arizona hotel parking lot with his wife, and by the time he got to the hospital, he was pronounced dead on the scene. Definitely something to do, I'm guessing, with the heart, cardio, something to do with, there's been no official word on it. Definitely a loved legend. Controversial, though, to be sure of. Back in the 80s and early 90s, he was accused of being the ultimate roider, which steroids are never good for you. And, even when my mother saw, his picture, he's like, wait, that guy's only 54, and he looked way older than that. So, definitely unfortunate. Definitely a sad thing to be sure of. Blew me away when I saw the news of it. And it's just, like you said, this week for wrestling, for professional wrestling, what a roller coaster ride. Holy shit. It just, from, Bryan winning against Triple H and then Cena beating Wyatt, which, why? And then Taker, like that, to me, I'm not too much upset that Taker lost. To Brock Lesnar's what I'm a little confused about. Shocked, nonetheless. Bryan winning the title's amazing. The way they're building Cesaro, great. Shield is moving in a positive direction. What else? Paige. That's great, too. It's amazing to see that feud moving forward. It's definitely positive. And then all of a sudden, then get to, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, all of a sudden, all the Ultimate Warriors passed away. It's like, wow. They've already announced at like a commercial thing that SmackDown's taped after main event on a Tuesday night, so even though it's Friday night, they've already announced they did like a commercial cut thing coming back from SmackDown. I watched it because it was the SmackDown after WrestleMania, but this Monday night's Raw is dedicated to the Ultimate Warrior, which, great. It's going to be amazing. It's just an unfortunate series of events that led to it. It's definitely my thoughts and prayers go out to friends and family of the Ultimate Warrior. While I was never really a fan of WWE, especially in the early 90s, I didn't even really get into professional wrestling until the late 90s. And I was, of course, as you can see the Goldberg poster in the background, I was a WCW guy, the Nitro the entire time. So I've missed that history. And I've only just recently with the network, I've been able to go back and see a lot of this stuff happen, in the past. And there's a lot of stuff that I need to catch up on, which is why I really like the network. It's such a good value for me because I miss out on all this history. So, but to, end this video on such a sad note, unfortunately that's the way it goes. And, my thoughts on the network, like I've said, it's a good value. If you're on the fence, I'd say go for it. And moving forward, the product definitely looks like it's moving in a good direction. How long they stay that way remains to be seen. Bryan can't keep winning forever. I'd imagine there's series out there now that he'll be maybe facing Lesnar in the future. I'd imagine if that's going to happen, it'll be at SummerSlam. So time will tell. And until next time, you guys have yourselves a good day.